Can anybody hear us out there? I went live on a few of these, and like 15 minutes in, I'm getting a phone call. Hey, you're not live. And I was like, you've got to be freaking kidding me.
Hey, I've done that too.
Yep, we are live. All right, episode 12. I got Dustin Woods in the hot seat, Triple D Entertainment. How the hell are you, buddy?
Good, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. You've been in the garage most of the day and trying to get some things done. We're going to jump right into it. What the hell are you being silenced for? Do you think, in your opinion?
I don't know, man. I'm still trying to figure that out myself. Why Triple D isn't maybe quite welcome in the sandbox, but I don't know. What are your thoughts? Why are from the outside looking in? That's kind of a loaded question. What's your thoughts?
Right. Well, I'm going to start off like this. Prior to watching your whole little emergency podcast from start to finish, I would just catch small pieces of this and that, and there was a few times that I had perceived it as kind of shade cast down on promoters that was doing like little fair shows, small fair shows, and it completely turned me away. And I wish at that time that I would continue to watch or ask questions or something, because that's definitely not the case. That's not what you're trying to get out. But I instantly made a judgment that, hell, this guy, just because, I can only pay $2,000 and he's paying $50,000, he thinks he's better. And I was totally wrong. And that I apologize. Of course, I'm not one that runs around and, throws your name in dirt and whatnot. It was my opinion, and I held it to myself, and it is what it is. And I'm so glad now that I, like I said, I watched it from start to finish, because that's not the case.
No, and I think you catch. This is the society we live in, right? You catch snippets, you catch a 10-second clip of something, and then you form a judgment on it. And the subjects that we're talking about and we're bringing up, they can't be had in a 10-second clip, and they can't be talked about. Opinion can't be formed. This is very, very deep and at the core of Demolition Derby. I know sometimes when you catch those snippets, like, it can come off as that, but look, I appreciate and I respect everyone that's ever done anything for Demolition Derby, because it was the sport that I grew up wanting to play. I always was a sports guy growing up, but there was something about Demolition Derby that when I got the chance, I was going to do that. And that was really enticing to me. So I appreciate what everyone's done. And I don't ever mean to put anything down or anything like that. But somehow you have to shed light on these issues, right? And these issues are controversial because you mentioned that you are on a fair board.
Yes, sir. Yes,
when
sir.
when you talk about fair boards and this and that, you are talking about creating a healthy relationship, which at some places doesn't exist. Some that does, right? But some places it doesn't exist, and we need that for the health of our sport. I don't think asking for our sport to be allowed to be healthy and grow, which means taking an income in, which means identifying and recognizing the entertainment that we bring as a sport, as drivers, as promoters, is a bad thing. And that's all we're trying to stand up for. So
Yeah. And I tell you, your last emergency podcast or video, as you call them, it really hit home. I live close enough to throw a rock and hit Delaware County Fairgrounds. For years I've ran it. It's my hometown. It means a lot to me to now be a part of it again. Roughly 6 years ago, there was a fair board president there, and I'm not going to share any names, that's irrelevant, but we worked really well together. He looked at me and a couple of other drivers, and he listened to everything pretty much we was saying and tried to make it bigger and better. Politics change. A new person come in, and they said no more Saturday derbies, Wednesday only, and if you don't like it, we won't derby. And I told the guys then I said, you know what? Let's boycott it. It sucks. It sucks. If no one shows up, they don't make any money. Maybe they'll give us a seat at the table. And then right after that, I started Delaware County Derby Committee. I tried to turn it into a union. I born and raised union. I know some people don't like it. It's in my DNA. I can't change it. I am the president of the union for the city of Muncie. So I try to change everything to a union. Let's vote on it. Let's vote it on who the head tech is, the rest of the tech, yada yada. I tried this so many years ago, and when you guys was talking about it, it was like, you gotta be kidding me. Where the hell was you when I needed you 6 years ago? Like, you guys had the same idea. Now, I would not go down the same path as to the extreme of voting on what color red flags we use, but you get you guys, it reminded me a lot of where I was, 5-6 years ago.
Well, I tell you what, I think you live and you learn, right? So you guys taking those steps back then can help progress the sport now. And I think one of the things to talk about with that is, you mentioned taking a step back or boycotting or this and that so you get a seat at the table.
Yeah.
That's all we're asking for. And I know that that's going to ask a lot of tough decisions of drivers, on who to support and whatnot. But we really need a seat at the table, and we really need an organization to be under. And that doesn't mean we all have to be the same.
Right.
That doesn't mean we all have to run the format. That doesn't mean we have to run the same rules. But we've got to stand together collectively for certain items, whether it be safety, whether it be payouts, whether it be our fair share, our seat at the table. All of those things, I think we can collectively get together. And then, the best promoters are always going to sort themselves out. Drivers are going to recognize who that is. But if we can keep a lump sum of that money in, we can reinvest. We can go out and get bigger sponsors. We can get bigger people involved. I mean, those conversations are happening daily, I think, with across the board with people. And I think we're just really close. I just want to organize on the back end. I wish we could do that before somebody gets that next step, and it's kind of just chaos and a free-for-all.
Right. And to say, you can't necessarily say this guy's in charge or that guy's in charge. The collab that's going to have to happen between promoters and whatnot, that is probably one of my biggest struggles that I have not been able to crack the nut on. I was all out about, hey, let's get similar rules. We don't have to be the exact same rules. And this was just in my local area. Let's work together. We're only gonna, it's only gonna benefit us if we're working together. I'm not saying that you have to have me on your tech crew or I have to have you on my tech crew, but let's work together so cars can run in different places. Of course, now it's always going to be up for interpretation of what a tech guy says or sees in black and white and how he reads it and the intent of the rules. That it'll never be perfect to have the exact same rules. It'll never be perfect. But if we can get close, man, all winter long, I talked and I talked and I talked, and I would message this person and that person, and I had a lot of people that said it was a great idea. I started this Discord for it. Uh, hey, and even this way, we have our own little section of promoters. Let's talk about rules. Even if we all can't meet at the same time, it's all there in chat. If you work midnights, when you get off and I'm asleep, you can get on there, make your comment, and we can all stay on the same page together. And I had really high hopes for it, and one other promoter showed up. So, but at the end of the day, it's not deterring me. I believe that my guys, and I call them my guys, but the people that run for me, they know what to expect. I got challenged right off the bat. I had and I constantly throw him out there, but I'm proud of it. I had my cousin show up to a derby. It was not to the rules, and he got loaded. We didn't speak for a while, but he got loaded. And I told him, and he totally understands. I said, listen, I'm trying to build a name that can be trusted. That's going to take me a lifetime to accomplish. It only takes one fuck up, and it's destroyed. I'm not going down that road, and I'm not starting it now. It is what it is. We live and we learn, and we got past it, and we're all great now. But now, I think when I done that, it showed a lot of guys, man, he's not going to show favoritism. And that's that's my biggest thing. Besides safety, I have had to load a few guys for safety, leaky fuel tanks or something like that. I have no problem at all pissing you off, making you load your car because you have a leaky gas tank, than me trying to tell your mom the reason I let you run and now you're a French fry. It is what it is.
Yeah, those conversations, I don't know if are had enough about that safety aspect of it, because that could be a real thing. On one of the last emergency press conferences, we mentioned NASCAR had to have their biggest star in their sport die before they made changes. Let's not go down that road, right? So whether it's door plates, especially in the bigger classes with the pointy bumpers, or rollover bars, just some things like that are very important. I mean, heck, there was a county fair this year in Ohio that let a convertible run. And, it's just like, there's got to be, I don't know, I'm not saying there's got to be consequences, but there's got to be just something that there's a line there. I mean, a convertible, really? I mean, that car gets rolled over, you're definitely dead. I mean, it's just unacceptable.
I think, and I'm just speaking what's in my mind. I'm thinking these guys are, I got an LLC. It won't be my ass if something happens. They'll just own the name. I'll have to figure something else out. We had a fella, and it was at no one's fault. We had a fella that passed away while derbying. Had a massive heart attack. Just didn't make it. To me, that I've got to live with that. You know what I mean? Like, and there was no one at fault. It was a natural thing, but still, like, what if this or what if that? That's how I'm thinking. At the end of the day, I want everyone to go home, whether you're pissed off because you got beat up or not. I want everyone to go home, and that is my main goal. And I tell guys, if you're coming out there to settle scores or this or that, it better not be in the driver's door. I don't play that bullshit either. And I don't care if it's 2 miles an hour or a full track. If it's intentional, you're done. I have pissed people off that way as well, and I'm okay with that. But you just safety has got to be number one. If people start falling out because of promoters cutting corners or whatnot, that we almost live up to that name of dumb redneck, as a lot of people think.
Yeah, and I just feel like there's so many smart people involved in this that we can look in the mirror and say, look, there's some things we need to do, and safety's a pillar that we need to collectively stand on, and then the money aspect of it. That's kind of a bad word in promoting in general, but we're running a business. We're putting on a product that provides entertainment for people, and there should be some competition out there to push these promoters, to push these drivers, to create more entertainment, to appeal to more eyes. And every show that goes by and we watch the show, okay, and we say, man, that was tough to watch. If that's tough to watch, we're never going to be able to sell our product to a bigger audience. And I've had some of these TV contacts, and been in these conversations. And one of my fears with that is, and I know some other promoters have too, one of my fears with that is if we can't get this right and put our best product on display, then when we're competing with all these other motorsports eyes, we're going to get another shot like we have in the past. And that's going to be dwindled away, and it's just going to be wasted away after one season, because we're not doing everything we can to put the best product that we have on display. And hence raising all these questions of, hey, what are we rewarding at the end of derbies? Are we talking about the right things? We have issues of sandbagging and teaming. Well, what's everyone doing? What's the thought process behind it? Why have we done what we've done up until this point? Just those things.
Yep. And as far as teaming, man, that is a hard one to combat. I've had to stop a couple derbies and like, hey, listen, it's obvious. I'm not saying you have to go kill your teammate, but you have to make it look good. Whether it's an offender or something, like, you have got to hit them, spin them out, whatever. Now, I have heard you talk a little bit about oh shit, I went blank. Your setup, how you the format. There you go. There, I am unfamiliar with that. Can you please speak on that?
Yeah. Hey, real quick, how can people get in here and see this?
It is on YouTube. You just type in Junket Promotions and it's in the live.
You got people just messaging me. Sorry about that. Should have asked that before.
You're fine.
So the format. Well, we'll get into that. So the format is it's designed to be ran with 15 cars on the track. Okay, so let's take 15 cars on the track. It's label them 1 through 15 just for the sake of this conversation. Mm-hmm. Okay, so there's an element of surprise. There's an element of anticipation with this, meaning you don't know, okay, when or who you're going to run against until you're drawn at the track. So trackside, we draw. So there's going to be 5 people, 5 groups of 3 out on the track. So we'll take that 1 through 5. We'll label those 1 through 5. So 6 through 15 are going to haven't been picked yet. Okay, but number 1 gets picked. He pulls to the track. He draws two numbers, or 1 number, and then the next car draws a number, or whatever it is. So let's just say he draws 2 numbers. So he draws 6 and 7. Number 2 pulls to the track, draws 8 and 9. 3 pulls to the track, draws 10 and 11, so on and so forth, basically creating 5 groups of 3 cars on the track. What that does is, or what they have to do as drivers, is they're not moving on to the feature until they beat those 2 cars. That's it. Whether it takes a minute or it takes 20 minutes, you have to beat those 2 cars. Now, I realize that there's 12 other cars on the track, okay, but they're all in their groups. Now you're going to ask, well, how does the audience know what's going on, right? And I will say, well, what we do is we paint your pillars the same color. So there's 5 groups of 3 cars on the track that have different pillars. So there's a red, blue, white. What that does is that identifies for the drivers who they have to beat. That identifies for the fans who they have to beat. And if you think about it, in a demolition derby, most of the time, these battles happen, and the only people that recognize them are the people that are in tune with what's going on and keep up on the derby gossip, so to say. Well, the average fan doesn't see that, and that's the most entertaining part of the derby to me. So we've taken that and we've just highlighted it for the fans and saying, look, this is going to be your battle. You know, pick a winner. There's always a favorite. There's always an underdog, you know, and the teaming aspect is limited, right? Because it can only be 2-on-1 max, but does it really help you to be 2-on-1 because there's only one moving on? And then the sandbagging is virtually eliminated because you can just get with it right off the rip, and if you break 2 tires off in 2 minutes, you're moving on. You shut your car off or you pull off the track, right? So, and then think about it from a competition aspect. When we pay this big money, you mentioned paying $15,000. In the past, right, the more money that you paid, the more drawn out, the more boring of a feature that you had. Well, here, because basically we were rewarding, I'm going to reel it back. Basically, we were rewarding the person that made the least amount of contact, right, and hurt their car the least. In my eyes, that shouldn't be something that is rewarded, okay, with the big paycheck at the end of the day. So what we do is you have to beat your competition, and that's who we are rewarding. And then, you know, we've got records. We've kept a list of people that are undefeated in the format. So we talk about taking this thing to the next level. The talent and the cream rises to the top because we've got some of these guys 2, 3, 4-0 now, you know, in our format. They've never been beat. And that's really, really impressive. And now we're starting to calculate or, you know, keep track of that, almost like the UFC. So now you can start to rank guys. Look, this guy's, he's 10-0. He's 12-0. You know, you do 5-6 years of this, this guy might be 25-2. Like, you know, he is one bad dude. So that's just a little bit of the format. I mean, I can go on for days. I want to get your thoughts. So
okay. So your heat is 10 people. You are 15 people. Everybody already knows they're in heat 1 out of the 15 people.
No, you don't. You got 60 cars sitting trackside, and nobody knows what heat they're in.
Okay, so okay, the very first driver knows he's in heat 1. Now he's got to draw 2 other drivers that he has to put out in order to advance.
Is we've had him draw the next driver, and then that driver pulls the track and then draws the next driver. We're just trying to speed that up because it gets kind of slow.
Right.
But you've got to draw right in front of the drivers, you know, because you don't want the rumor going around that you manipulate things and this and that, right? So you have to draw in front of the drivers, but you got to speed it up because the drivers don't know when they're going. Right. So they're not in their cars. They're maybe not by their car. They're going to take it their 30-second pee of the day because you know how that goes before running a derby.
Right.
So we're trying to educate these drivers on what's going on too, while keeping the anticipation and the excitement kind of lingering.
I got you. So if and that is a damn good way to combat teaming, because if me and you are on a team and we show up and you happen to draw me in heat 1, both of us cannot advance. One of us has got to be beat. Yeah.
So I want to mention we do a friendly foe, okay, for this situation. So you are allowed to write down one name, as long as that name writes down you, that if you're a Triple D insider, that you get this advantage, that you're guaranteed not to draw. So like if me and you are insiders and we're friendly foes, and I draw you, your chip the chip will go back in the thing, and we'll draw another guy, because everybody builds with one person.
Right.
When you're having a new concept like this, you don't want to deter you and I from coming because we think that we could draw each other. So we don't want to deter guys like that.
I got you. I tell you, that's the first time it's been explained to me, and I like it. I like it. I have seen people say
electric,
that.
Man.
I've seen people say, I really don't care. And that's another thing. Like the team show I'm trying to put on April 1st and 2nd. I've had multiple people. Who's entered? We'll see the day of the show. We're not going to play them politics of, so and so is going to work with so and so, and so. We'll get, when we get there. We'll see who's there. If you want to know the colors, I'll give you the colors of the cars, but I'm not giving any names. But yeah, I like that format idea. That is definitely great. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, and it makes you compete, right? Like at the highest level. It's gladiator style, meaning all eyes are on you, and you either got your ass kicked or you won that day, and that's just all there is to it. There's no excuses. I mean, how many the laundry list of excuses I've heard of why people lost is incredible. Well, I can tell you right now, I watched it with my own two eyes that you just got it handed to you. Now I say that, but I say that in a fun, bantering way. Could be because the next time you go out there, you can freaking hand it to two other guys.
Yep.
And we need more of that in the sport. So you talked about the drivers a little bit and hinted towards that. That's where we need the buy-in from the drivers to put it all on the line. That's where they have to take us to the next level. And they've got to understand that provides entertainment. Entertainment sells. With entertainment selling, eyeballs get on the sport, and the sport becomes bigger, and the paychecks that they get become bigger. It all goes hand in hand.
Yeah. So, back to the format. You have 15. You only take 5 out of it? Is that correct? So, now, them 5, you said three people per the 5 groups. Now, does this follow over into the consies and the main event too, or is it become a free-for-all at that point?
So this year, we are actually doing a second round, of the format. So they'll run against the winners of round 1 will advance to round 2, and they'll run the same exact format in order to get to the feature. So basically, in order to get to that 50,000 to win feature, you're going to have to beat 4 cars in order to get there, right? And then you're going to be in a feature with about 13 cars. We limit our features. There's no participation trophies here.
Right.
We limit our features. So now to break everything down a little further, there is 2 consies. So consi 1 is going to be for round 1 losers. So round 1 losers, you're going to get punished for losing. So you're going to be in a heat of likely, it depends on how many cars show up, but it'll likely be 9. And you'll have to win that heat of 9 in order to advance just to the second consi. And the second consi is going to have the losers of round 2. Okay, because they won a round, then they lost in the second round, and then you're going to have to. Obviously, this is how many cars show up. Okay, because this can change a little bit. It could be 6 in that first consi, but the consi of round 2 will be 6 cars. So regardless, you have to win 2 rounds or lose 2 rounds to be eliminated. That was kind of one of the things last year. So last year we did single elimination. You lose and you're done. You're going home. And, obviously drivers building this quality of car, they were a little disappointed. I would say a lot disappointed that they didn't have a second chance. But we didn't want any shutting off, and I wanted to ensure that no one shut off because they got a tough draw. And I felt the only way that you could do that is to win or go home. And we understand that's maybe down the road yet. We do that when we have multiple shows and stuff that people can go to. But maybe that wasn't the most popular thing to do last year. So we did add consies. We did add a second round. But I got to tell you, man, I mean, the entertainment that this brings, just the anticipation and the hype, I equate this to UFC. And I don't know if you're a big fight fan or not, but so you will understand this perfectly. Conor McGregor will go out there, okay, and this is 4 or 5 years ago now, but you'll get the point. He'll go out there and knock a guy out, like Jose Aldo, right? And it was 10 seconds long. But everyone that paid for that fight felt like they were entertained.
Well worth it.
Yeah. Well, and you ask yourself, how? It was only 10 seconds. But it was all the anticipation leading up to it. All the trash talk. So that's exactly what we've created with the format. Like, we're gonna have that anticipation. We're gonna have the hypotheticals. We're gonna have all that. And, you never know the outcome. You don't know if 2 tires are going to fall off when guys pull on the track. You don't know if a trainee's going to get smoked. So you never know the outcome. So we've taken a page out of the UFC's book and said, we're going to base all of our entertainment on the hype leading up to it and the anticipation leading up to it, rather than say, all right, these 3 names are going to put on the best show you ever see. We have no idea what's going to happen when they hit the track. So that's what it's more about and laid out entertainment-wise.
So do you try to do this format for every class you got, or you just focus on your biggest class and run with it there?
We want to do it for every class that we can. Okay. Every class that we can, because we really think that it takes true talent and true ability to take calculated shots to eliminate your competition. And rather than just avoiding contact to be rewarded. And we want to teach the youngsters that. Although the classes are different, you can be the baddest dude on the planet in the front-wheel drive class. You can be the baddest dude on the planet in the rear-wheel drive class. And we want to highlight that by your ability to take those cars out and eliminate them.
Yeah. Man, that is... I'm glad you explained that to me. That is, I tell you, my blood pressure's up right now. I guarantee that. Like, you've already got me in the mode. I like it. I really like it, man. My brain's going a million.
Well, look, this is not just the Triple D thing. It's not just the me thing. Anyone can adopt this. Like, I don't care who uses this. I don't care how they use it. This has kind of been said in the past, like, if we use it, we're just copying Triple D. It's like, look, I truly think this could make our sport better across the board and more competitive. And look, I encourage anyone. I always said, like, the first person to do this, I'll sign up. I'll be your first sign up. Just count me in. Whoever does it, I'll be your first sign up, because I want to run this so bad.
Yeah. And the thing is, and I'm sure you've had people say, well, that's not going to completely get rid of teaming, because if 2 or 3 down the line draws my teammate, well, we're not going to hit each other. But that's the best I've heard so far about combating on teaming. That's so
the arguments I've heard against it, because you have a really good point. That's what I hear, like, it doesn't fix everything. Look, let's talk about this. If you have 10 heats, okay, let's say 3 of them are 2 are consies, you've got 7 heats, and then you got a feature. So you've got 10 actual, events happening in a show. If you're telling me, because almost everyone I talk to agrees on the heats that it fixes things, right? Or not totally, but like, wow, that's a pretty good fix, right? That the argument I hear is, well, it doesn't fix the feature. And it's like, well, look, if I was to tell you that you are running an event and I can fix 90% of the event right now, okay, would you adopt it? And they always say, well, yeah. I said, that's all we did. Yeah. Like, don't worry about the feature, because I truly believe it helps the feature. It doesn't eliminate everything, but it does help the feature, because the name game and the big names and the people making it through consies because they're running through people or they're shutting off or this and that, like, it eliminates all that, because I can take you out now, right? And I don't have consequences of your buddies coming after me, except in the feature, and there might only be one of your buddies, or they might not even make it.
Right.
You know, there is no participation here, so we limit the features strongly. So at 13 cars, 14 cars, dude, you can get with it right away and take a kill shot on that feature. How long? I don't know how closely you followed us, but we paid $25,000 last year. What would you expect a feature to last if you paid $25,000?
Right. From some of the, it's no pun to any of the drivers that do it, but I've seen big money shows that I left early. It wasn't fun to watch. It was a gas mileage derby, and they've got some of the baddest equipment out there, and they wouldn't even trade in paint. Like, so right off the top of my head, $25,000, I'm thinking, you know, that's going to be a 2-day event. You know, it's going to last 2 days.
I know, man. And when we put out that flyer last year, especially this year for the 50, that's all we heard. And it just reminded me of how much education we've got to do to get this out there. You know, because people don't realize last year our feature for 25,000, 42 minutes.
Nice.
That's unheard of. And it was insane. I mean, you had big names out there, then you had nobodies. You had guys like Seth Rutherford, okay, he was a 20-year-old kid, and, built his car in the driveway that got second place. He got $10,000 for second place.
Yeah.
$10,000. Like, that's called a big show win, right? $10,000. He got it for second place. You had Brian Cassidy, who I don't think has placed at any big show that he's ran in the past like 10 years, like got down in the money. He's at 5th. And that's what that format allows these guys to do, is you don't have to have a team. You don't have to have a big name. It's about you and how good you are that weekend or that day to have a chance. And, you know, I think if we can get back to that and we can start opening people's eyes to that, man, this is UFC with cars, which
right.
is awesome.
Yep. And to speak on the name game, you know, everybody has that one person they look up to, or they think they can walk on water. I was always the lucky one. I can't remember names. Like you know how many times I've told my wife this week that Monday Dusty Woods is coming on. I am horrible with names. Like, it's something that but I remember faces, especially through the goggles.
Yep.
But I was always that guy that as soon as the green flag dropped, I was looking for that face. It always made sense to me, if you didn't go after the biggest and the baddest wolf out in the field, you're going to have to deal with him at the end when you're already crippled. I'm going after you, the biggest, baddest one, when everything is perfect on my car right from the get-go. If it didn't happen, it doesn't happen.
Now, how often do you get that? Think about that. How often do you truly get some of the best in the sport to get it on off the rip?
Man, and I tell you, and again, I'm not going to drop any names, but I've heard people, well, I can't believe they ganged up on me like that. Well, you know what? The times that I was ganged up on and I had 3 cars trying to hold me, that made my head swell. I felt like I was a threat. Like, man, maybe they're looking at me like, man, we really got to take care of this guy. But to hear people like, oh, I can't believe they done that to me, or this or that, and it's like, dude, you're out there in a demolition derby to hit each other, how are you going to get mad when you get hit? And if you could answer that question, I mean, the format sounds amazing, but answer that question, you'd be a
I mean,
millionaire.
I don't have any answers for that one. Look, we don't have answers for a lot of things. Sometimes I think people, think that we have answers for everything, and we don't. We don't. We're just being vocal, and talking on our platforms, and trying to get this out there and trying to push things forward. So, we don't have an answer for everything, but man, if the format isn't the answer, tell me what is, because we'll adopt it tomorrow. We'll change everything tomorrow if you tell me, hey, look, I got sandbagging fixed, I got teaming fixed, I've got true competition fixed, I've got the entertainment aspect fixed. I've got a true hierarchy. We can have record. Like, if you tell me all those things, how it's fixed, dude, I'll adopt it tomorrow.
Yeah. One thing I really like to do to combat the sandbagging, or the pussyfooting, as I call it, I got bright pink spray paint. And if you're out there, you get one warning in the driver's meeting. If I stop it because you're not doing your job out there, you get a big pink X on the side of the car. That lets everybody know, and this is both sides, right over your really nice door stickers, and a big pink X. That lets everybody know you're not doing your job. The next time I stop it, you're done. You go to the trailer. And that helped quite a bit. But then when certain people would continue getting the pink X's, then it was, oh, you're just picking on them. You're picking on them. I have a motto: safety, fairness, carnage. And if you just follow them, we're good at the end of the day. I'm still mind boggled over this the format though. Like, I like that idea. I really like that idea.
And the reason why we're paying $50,000, well, it's $50,000 based on 100 cars. So, we pay, just so everyone's clear, we pay on the percentage of cars that we get. So we said, all right, at 100 cars, if we get 100 cars, it's a $600 entry fee. If we get 100 cars, that's $60,000 we bring in. The total purse for the event would be $79,000. I would be willing to cover $19,000 of that out of my pocket. If we get 100 cars, then I'll pay $50,000. If we don't, we just pay the percentages. So if we get 75 signups, we pay 75% of everything, right? So then it's $37,500. It's still the largest single paying event, at least on the East Coast, right? And we're going to likely get that 75. People keep asking me what we're at. It's over 50, under 100. There's a lot of people working on cars that haven't signed up yet, and I really wish they would sign up, because as soon as I put a number out there and say, oh, we're at 70, right, then people are going to start counting. Well, I know 5 people that signed up after 70, so how'd you say it was at 72? I don't want the ability for guys to be able to back out late, because things happen,
right,
and whatnot. So I encourage these guys to sign up so we can put a number out there, but it is over 50, it's under 100. But that big number, man, is, I want guys to compete, and we felt like that big number could get guys, to put it on the line, and put it on the line for us all to see. And it turns out we haven't got quite 100, and that's kind of disappointing. And some people were saying it would fill overnight. I know when we put the flyer out there, it had, 180 shares and all kinds of comments and stuff. People chose to run other places, this and that. It's kind of dumbfounding why people choose where they choose. If you have some answers for that, let me know.
I am in the same struggles right now. My front-wheel drive class is my main event now. I have easily 60 to 70 front wheel drives every show. I am struggling big time with trying to find a happy medium with full size cars. My second biggest is a C3 class. I call it the crazy compact class, C3 for short. It's minivans, little trucks, small SUVs. It has just completely exploded around here. When I put out that, hey, I want to have a team show, a 2-day event, man, I had so many people hit me up. Yeah, we'll do it. Paying just under 15 grand, that is absolutely the biggest payout that I have ever had, and it gives me butterflies. I've got 2 signed up for the full size team show. I've got 6 in the front wheel drives and like 7 in the C3, and it's like, where the hell is everybody? Like I'm losing sleep overnight thinking, man, I had put this on the line, and it's flopping. But until in March 18th is the deadline. At that time, if I don't have at least 10 teams signed up for each one of them classes, then I'll call it there. But a funny story, this fall show that I had at Delaware County, man, it rained, it snowed. Tech opened at like 2 o'clock. Tech was supposed to close at 5 o'clock. It's like 3:30. I got 6 cars there. I'm thinking, well, this was a bust. I guarantee payouts. I will not put on a derby unless I can guarantee payouts. So you know what you're running for when you get there. There is none of that. I must have at least 5 cars or whatever. I guarantee payouts. I've had to bite the bullet when only 2 cars showed up, and I put 3rd place back in my pocket. So it's like 3:30, something like that. I got 6 cars there, and I'm like, man, this is a bust. All of a sudden, there was lines everywhere, and I ended up with 86 cars in the fucking snow. And I was like, how do you explain this? Like, from absolutely the saddest moment of that day to the happiest, you have a lot of struggles as a promoter that goes unnoticed, and a lot of people's like, that guy just he does what he wants, and he thinks his shit don't stink. But when you try to do it the best way possible in your mind, you take a lot of things for granted as a driver, that you don't see struggles behind the scenes. You don't see all them sleepless nights, or sometimes it's a thankless job, so to speak. But for the love of the sport, it drives us. And I can't think of anything better to do with my extra time than to try to better this sport around me, around anybody that'll let me. And I think, well, I kind of know now, you're in them same pajama pants.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I dream about every night as many of us collectively making a living doing this. And as many, not one person, not 10, but like hundreds of people, thousands of people making a living at doing this. And it just takes these tough conversations to get there, right? The drivers and the promoters, they're never going to want the same thing. Okay. Right. So we've got to be able to look out both lenses. Drivers, for example, the 50,000. Okay. Some drivers are not willing to run it because they think the best of the best is going to be there and they can't win. Some drivers aren't going to run it because they can't run with their teams. And that's where we've got to organize, okay, and create a path and a structure for guys, a hierarchy for places to run. You mentioned struggling to get car counts. It's tough, man, but we haven't, as a promoting side of this, we haven't laid it out and structured it out and said, this is where you run, this is how you run, this is where you start in Demolition Derby. The county fairs are like a dirt track level. The independent shows are the next level, and what it takes to support those. We don't have this is kind of getting ahead of the sanction or the type of sanctioning body, but we don't have any membership. Like the memberships in all motorsports, they help fund things, right? They help you take a hit, to your wallet, so that way you can donate all your time next year, right? And put the same event on. So, all these things, they got to go hand in hand, and we are in the same pajama pants. Like we all want this, but then now we have to look in the mirror and say, all right, reality is we have to do these things to get there. And some of it is support, the guys that are out there putting real money out there. I mean, look, you want to talk about a lot of money. I mean, what it's like to put up money. You know what it's like to wonder if people are going to show up and support you, or you're just going to have to eat the whole thing. Mm-hmm. You know what it's like to guarantee purses. We paid a $10,000 guaranteed purse our first year at the King. Actually, our whole event was free entries. We didn't charge any entry for anything and paid out over a $50,000 purse. Not one single entry. In one class in a compact mod, we had a $10,000 purse that we paid to 4 cars, $5,000 to the winner. It's very tough to continue to do that when you don't know what support you're getting. When it just seems like it's like by year, if you're getting 83 cars at 330 or you're getting 4, you don't know. And we can't do that. We got to look in the mirror, man. We got to create that structure so that way we can build upon something.
Yeah. Now, kind of a personal question. How do you get such huge payouts? What am I lacking? I have reached out to multiple big companies just trying for that break of, oh my God, a Junker promotion show that's going to pay, $20,000. Man, and I understand times are really hard right now for everybody, with the recession and the price of living. And do you got any pointers for me of how to accomplish that?
You're one of the first people that have ever asked me that question, and it's a really good question because we've got this yellow 4-letter word beside our name that has been beside our name, and people have said that Jegs has funded everything. And I'm here to tell you they haven't ever gave us one single dime of actual money. Now, they've done a lot of other things, and those partnerships and those relationships are very beneficial. We had UNOH on board last year. But in the same thing, like those were partnerships and relationships beyond the monetary value. Those were kind of like down the road type deals, right? But as far as where we get the money is, look, I put every single ounce and every single dime of my own money up to get this and to tackle this. I don't do anything but this. My family, me, we've literally put everything we've had into this, for these drivers. And, that's a lot of money. You can just do the math. There's 79,000 in that one class. There's 19,000 we're covering. I mean, at any given time, you're $50,000 to $80,000 on the hook. And, that stuff doesn't grow on trees. A lot of people think that we just, I inherited money, or like my parents helped me or something like this. It's like, this was 5 years before we put on our first show. I was preparing for 5 years to get there, and I was going through different career paths, and to make more money. Of course, we do very well, making money, but we don't spend any of it. Like, we just put it towards Demolition Derby. we've lost enough money in the first 2 years. I mean, it's a crazy amount of money, and we're still continuing to do it because the support's getting there, the ears are opening up, the conversations are happening, and I truly believe that we're not in this get rich quick scheme. We're not trying to do that. We're trying to literally better the sport. And if it takes putting that type of money on the line to get the entertainment we need, to get ears opened, then we will, and we will do that. But that was a great question, man. No one's really ever asked that. Everyone just kind of assumes that we just got this big lump sum of money. Yeah. I've heard all kinds of stuff. I've heard $250,000. I've heard $500,000. I've heard $750,000. I would take it tomorrow. Right. Trust me. Right. But no, none of that's ever happened.
I got you. And you was talking about jigs. What's funny is my son's got a Triple D hat. As a matter of fact, a couple of my tech guys actually help you out with selling merchandise and whatnot, and my son had to have a hat. I even went as far as contacting Summit and was like, hey, listen, this guy has got jigs. You need me for Summit. No reply. And it's like, I've reached out to Lincoln Welders, Miller Welders, man, just a ton. And sometimes it's almost like, why do I try so hard? But I want to be able to, like I said, when I first took this thing over, it was like $400 to win, and it was guaranteed money, but $400 6-7 years ago, and this team show is now going to pay just under 15, and it's like I told everybody all along, hey, if you stick with me, I promise you, I'm going to do my absolute best when I go in there to negotiate, that I'm going to get you as much as I can. And I think that there's a few people that are like, he's not so full of shit after all. He is doing what he said he would do, and so, like on my fair shows, I have standalone shows and then I have fair shows. And working with a fair show, I go in and I tell them, hey, this is the amount of money, which is $1,750. That's what you give me. I pay my tech guys $200 a piece. I pay the tech ladies that are running the gates $100 a piece. I walk away with $600 at the end of that night. And you talk about sticks, banners, paint. I lose.
$600 won't get you anything. You're just losing money. There's no.
But
you're not even paying for gas and trailer and all that stuff.
No. But I try to put my best foot forward, and I won't budge on that. That $1,750. That is what it is. And a lot of people's like, hey, you need to contact so-and-so and try to put on a show here. I'm open to putting on a show wherever. Doesn't matter. First off, I'm not going to beg. I'm not going to try to lowball anything. It's $1,850 regardless. And another thing that I think has hurt me is I'm up front with every fair board. I'm in control. I don't care if it's your grandson or your dad's out there or what. Everybody goes by the exact same rules, and I expect everybody to act exactly the same. There is no, oh well, he's so and so, we'll let him get by with it. That's not me. It has cost me a few shows when I open up with that line of there's no masters. There is no freebies. But I think it's working for me as far as getting trust from people. You know, I started off with just one little county fair that gave me a shot. Now I've opened up to 4 counties, and you know, I went from 2 shows to possibly 6, 7 this year. But the struggle was real with it, with as far as and absolutely nothing against my sponsors. You know, I've got some sponsors that are just absolutely amazing to me. You know, they pay $500 a whole year, and these are little mom and pop stores that you know, believe in me, and that's a lot of money from a little mom and pop store that are trying to make it on their own as well. And you know, I try to get the 3 by 5 foot banners for them, and they're plastered all over the website and the podcast and everything. It's just I'm looking for that one big one. Like I said, you know, the honey hole that's in your backyard that everybody says that you just happen to stumble upon. I'm just looking for that honey hole just to break it wide open.
There's no honey hole here, man. I I got a couple things I want to touch on. Actually, Jegs is no longer with us.
Oh.
So at this very moment, so I will be making an announcement there soon. They sold the company. So my in was the owners, so the Coughlins. So I actually, through a connection, just really got lucky, sat down with J3. So he was 3rd generation owner of Jegs, and that's how I got in. So you talk about getting the summit and this and that. You've got to get to the decision makers, and if you don't get there, you're not going to get anything. So I got to the decision makers, the guys that own the company, right? Well, they sold about 6 months ago, and with them selling, the contract expired and has since, you know, no renewal. So we will actually be. You won't see any Jeg stuff on our apparels and website and stuff going forward, which is disappointment. But you know, the family sold, and it is what it is. I can tell you, being in those conversations and whatnot, it is what we provide for them. And at this current moment, the Derby world doesn't provide a lot for people. And the reason why is because we're just collectively divided, and if that makes sense. And so we don't move in big herds, and we're just, we come and go. And we don't really, like, there's not one event that you could really take someone to that says this captures all of the Derby world. There are some very good events out there, but not quite everything that, you know, one event that captures everything. So when you talk to these big people and present your idea, it's hard. It's a hard sell. Yeah. And it's a hard sell because they look you in the eye and they say, they're used to dealing with motorsports across the board, whether it's, you know, I've had talks with Lucas Oil. I've had talks with, obviously, UNOH, the Jegs, just all kinds of brands, MAV TV. And they deal with organization. They deal with sanctioning body. When they talk to those people at the heads of those organizations, they know that those people are collectively speaking for that, you know, that entire sport. And there's just not one person you could talk to in this sport that you could say that. And that's a problem. You know, our negotiating power is, hell, we can't even negotiate with county fairs, let alone a big sponsor to come in.
Right. And you was talking about, you know, and it's not all, but it's some. Your buddy starts making Derby parts, and because he won't give you a discount, you'll go pay $20 more to someone else. I don't get it.
Yeah, that's disappointing too. You know, we don't. We've been very on our side. You talked about the sponsors and stuff. Man, I can't get any sponsors in the Derby world, to be honest. I've got a couple that have really helped me out, and Ruts Fab, B&B Derby Parts. Who are some other people? Blades Steel. Smith Metalworks. I'll have to look at the website. I don't want to miss anyone. But there's been a couple people that have helped us out. But overall, man, we don't get... I can't even get a raffle car. I can't even get parts for a raffle car, from people in the derby world. And I think it might be a little bit bigger problem. Maybe some people just don't like us, and it is what it is. But I think it might be a little bit bigger problem of, like you said, just the competition on that side of things is kind of, really tight.
Yeah.
So, maybe that's a problem. I would love to get more people on board, man, and more sponsors to support us. I want to talk about this. I want to talk about this just a little bit. The Jegs thing, looking back at it, you always get to go hindsight on things. Looking back at it, I don't know if it was the greatest thing that could ever happen for us. When it was happening, I thought maybe it was the next thing that kind of kicked the door in for us collectively, that maybe somebody was getting Summit to come along too, or Speedway or whatever. But I think it pissed off a lot of parts vendors, and thinking that, maybe they thought Jegs was going to come in and take over everything. And we're still battling that to this day, that people think that, we're like in this collaboration with Jegs to come in and take over all parts. And it's just, it hasn't happened. It's not going to happen. Obviously I just said that the relationship is no longer there. So, that was, looking back at it, it's like, man, I don't know if that was the best thing ever, because it just wasn't ready to be collectively embraced for some reason. And look in the mirror. I was never the right guy to start this. I was never the right guy to get the Jegs deal. I was never, because I wasn't popular. Nobody knew me in the derby world. So at that point, I've won some shows. I didn't win a big one. I mean, last year I was fortunate enough to win a big one, but that came after. And I knew starting all this that I was not the right face for it, but I didn't know who was, and I didn't know who was willing to put in the work to do it. So at some point, you just got to beat down the door, man, right?
Yeah. And like I said, when I started the Delaware County Derby Committee, and I was throwing these union ideas out to everyone, a lot of people was like, "Oh, you're just self-centered. You've got a big ego," and I had to correct them. I was like, "Listen, it is my job daily to go to work and fight for other people's livelihood. All I'm trying to do is get us on the same page as far as derbying. All right, if you don't want to be part of that, we have scabs that work too. Okay, just go sit by yourself. I don't care. But as far as the Jegs and you thinking people was maybe looking that Jegs was going to take over all the parts, I think a lot of that was probably envy too, that, oh my God, look at this big name that this guy just got, and jealousy. That is another thing that's in our sport, jealousy. And it's, if we could correct it too, man, it would be amazing. Instead of tearing each other down, there's obviously, in my opinion, there's good promoters and there's bad promoters. I have never once said anything bad about any other promoter on my platform as far as Junker Promotions. As a matter of fact, when I started this podcast, I never thought I would have another promoter on here. You are now the second. This thing is going different ways, and I'm running with it. I'm having fun with it. I'm talking to people with it. It's getting people, communicating back and forth, and I meet new people, and no one is perfect. And until you are perfect, don't cast judge on anyone else. And that's all I got to say about that,
Oh, I think that was well said. Jealousy is something that's human nature. I just, maybe we experience some of that. Maybe it's how brash we come off at times, or the clip that somebody might see that makes them like that. And I understand that, but that's why we have these long form conversations, is because there's somebody educating themselves tonight. There's definitely a new audience tonight, and that are hearing what we have to say, and hopefully they come away, with maybe a different thought of each one of us. That, oh man, maybe my guys, will look into your stuff over there, and vice versa. And
yeah, most definitely. And like I said, even if we just have this kind of collab, whether we don't do rules or as long as people can see that we are communicating and trying our best to do what's best for this sport, how can you fault them? And then that brings me back to why the hell you cannot speak at the Smith Metalworks. Like,
oh gosh,
I tell you, that bothers me. That just, it pisses me off. And I don't know you. This is the first time actually me and you have ever sat down and had a conversation. Yeah, I have texted you before. I had some car left over from Bash for Cash that my son wanted to run. You told me to get in contact with so-and-so, and he would steer me in the right direction. The car was way out of the rules, and that was it. I have never talked to you other than that. But anybody that has at least an idea, now I can understand if you was, we're going to burn babies at the stake and, slaughter cows and drink the blood. I can understand them not wanting you to talk. But you just have ideas about Demolition Derby and where you would like for it to go. And you're not saying you're better than anyone else, but to silence you, especially as free Americans, that is bullshit.
Yeah, it was difficult to swallow. I was told it didn't fit the agenda, right? And to that, I asked just what the agenda is, and I was told that it was for parts vendors and for the youth. And I was like, well, without promoters, you can't really have a youth program, and the vendors don't sell anything. So what's kind of weird about it is, you're in a room by yourself. People aren't forced to go in there. I could have spoke to an empty room. No one could have showed up to it. So it was kind of a weird approach for them to take that. Maybe they did it all in good faith, and they are just trying to keep that. But other people have spoke on their parts. Toast has spoke on his stuff. I know Jeff, our Coke, has spoke on his carburetors and things like that. And it's like, they say you have an agenda. I had an agenda. Yeah, you're right. I wanted to get the format out to people, and I wanted to talk about pure competition and what exactly that was. And I guess that's an agenda, but so did they. I mean, other people had agendas too. I mean, anyone that's speaking there's going to be some sort of agenda of, whether it's like Frankie talking about officiating. Well, that's how they officiate their shows. So that's, kind of selling the hardcore way. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think we can all learn and all get better from that. But it's just, it is what it is. We've kind of spoke our piece on it. I think it's for you guys to talk about now, and maybe get some more answers than we've gotten, or maybe it changes in the future. But when I think Expo and I think Derby Expo, I think Expo, anything Demolition Derby, and I don't know if you've seen some of these podcasts and whatnot, but nobody seems to want to talk about these things on their podcast, obviously besides you. And they don't want to talk about it at the Expo. So I say, where's a good place to talk about this stuff?
Right.
Like, can't talk about it on the Expo, can't talk about it on podcasts, so where can we talk? Like, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, so.
When I first started this, my dad was the very first one to come on, and he was like, well, what, am I allowed to cuss? And I said, listen, old man, all right? I've known you for 38 fucking years. You be you, don't be fake, because when this thing has to turn fake, I'm done. I am absolutely done with it. So, if people want to, I am still pissed off that they won't let you speak. I mean, if anything, from what I have got from this conversation, which is just a little over an hour, are they afraid that you're going to go there and tell them kids to want better, that you deserve better, to not just keep following in the same footsteps as your dad, your grandpa, and that we need to take this to the next level? It just doesn't make sense. Why? And that's bothered me the most, that I could go.
Well, I think a lot of stuff that's happening there is really good for the sport, and a lot of the work that those guys have put in is really good. So sometimes it gets construed that I say that I'm saying or portraying, that we need to do better, or like, don't follow the same path as what your grandma and grandpa did. But we're really not saying that at all. Rome wasn't built overnight, and
right.
And you progress along the way. And I hope this is just seen as a progression, or maybe a branch out away from the tree, rather than a complete overhaul of Demolition Derby, because I still think the old way can exist. And I still, pay tribute to everyone that has got us here, right? So I definitely want to be careful that I don't portray that as, hey, we need to go this way, like this is a fork in the road. This is just an opportunity. It's a branch. Hey, this is the branch we're going to hang out on over here. Pretty cool. You want to come over and hang out on it with us?
Yeah, and even if it not speaking on the format, but even if it was just, as far as respecting people more, or growing as a better individual in the sport, and not necessarily just all about the format, but just not being able to speak, like.
Yeah, well, we got these platforms, man. There's no way that I get out to more people doing those live videos than you would ever get out at an event. So obviously we're going to get out to a lot of people tonight. So
as soon as I heard that you was not allowed to speak, I have not missed one of your podcasts or your emergency conferences, as you call them. You know what I mean? It was like, what the hell is this guy saying that's so bad? And then that's when, I heard you, talking about the county fairs, and I was like, man, I completely misunderstood that, and it was like, and that's, as soon as you signed on, before we even went live, I had to apologize to you because, that's the way I perceived it, and it wasn't even true, and.
Well, it may have been the way I came off, too. I apologize back to you, or anyone was misled in any conversation that we've had. But county fairs are extremely important to what we're doing. They're actually essential. We just got to use them to be healthy,
Right. Well, man, it's been great talking to you. Do you have anything else that you want to bring up? Maybe do some plug-ins to the Triple D show that you're looking for the 100 drivers. You said you got a little over 70.
No, we didn't say 70. We said over 50.
Over 50, under 100. You're right.
Over 50, under 100. Look, there could be 75, 80 tomorrow if people would sign up that are building cars. But I'm not putting that number out there until we actually have signups. But we are paying $50,000 at 100 cars for that class. We also have a pro stock, a really light pro stock, no creasing, no anything. That at 60 cars, it pays $10,000 to win. So we're hoping for 60 cars there. So that class needs a little love. That's a week build. Maybe a 2-week build at max. No crease in the doors. It's basically a motor swap class. So we're paying big money for that. That's a $200 entry. And then we have a front-wheel drive class that's down to single digits. So we're doing a team show and kind of like a team show format type deal in which we took 40 teams. We're down to, I think, less than 5 teams that are open. So we almost have 80 cars, and that's going to pay $10,000 to win. So that's a $10,000 2-man team show. We have trucks that we opened up. We have minivans we opened up. And we have some youth stuff. We're going to need a little more love for the youth and the rear-wheel drive to keep those classes in the front row and the front-wheel drive class. And, yeah, that's where we're at, man. It's June 16th, 17th, and 18th in Lima, Ohio. If you're not doing anything, it's going to be a great weekend. It's a 3-day weekend, getaway on Father's Day weekend. The man of the household, hey, you want to go to a derby that weekend? It's Father's Day weekend. Yeah. So camp out with the family. I don't know if you've ever been to Lima, but man, the hotels are right there. Walmart's right there. The facility is phenomenal. The people that we work with on the fair board are absolutely incredible. Shout out Steve, because Steve is a damn lifesaver. He works with us like 24/7 when we're putting on that event and leading up to the event. Steve Schaefer, I mean, just unbelievable. Couldn't ask for a better person to help us there. But it's a great facility, man. This is our 3rd year now being there, so we want people to show up. It's no secret that we need some more people to show up, but we're growing every year. But man, we'd like to, people want to perform in front of a large crowd, so we want to get people there.
Yep. Now, you was talking about youth. How is your youth class going as far as number wise? And
well, we ran the Smith Metalworks youth last year, and it's disappointing because we haven't got a lot of push for that, as you probably can put 2 and 2 together. Yeah. You need push. You need backing for that, and it just hasn't happened. Bash for Cash has been pushed heavily for the youth program, and I think the youth drivers learned a lot last year competing in the format. They were all terrified to do it, but I think they learned a lot about driving skill and testing themselves. And it's disappointing that we're not going to probably be able to bring that class back this year because, everyone's choosing to go run somewhere else. So that's pretty disappointing.
Right. My youth class is just in the front wheel drives. I've got a couple of the youth kids that are wanting me to try the full size. I'm pulling around 17 to 18 kids every derby. And I'll tell you what, when I drop the green flags, you can tell they don't have a damn care in the world. They go and they all kind of gang up on me and like, well, how come you don't give a Reaper Award for the kids class? Because I want this to be a learning experience. I don't want you to be out there trying to kill each other. You guys are doing that already. I want it to be a learning experience and for you to learn so I can build a little monster that when you go up to the adult class, you're just going to be kicking ass,
If you're getting 16, 17 cars, man, you're doing something right. I can guarantee that. That's really neat. And that shows the future of the sport. So that's awesome. And kudos to you.
And there's been a lot of kids that have told me, you was the first person I ever got to run for. And you know what? That's such a good feeling to know that a parent let their 15-year-old kid come out there in a car because they trusted me enough. I don't allow parents with them. Of course, the parents are on standby, and like I tell them, every driver's meeting, I do my driver's meeting, and then I have the kids stay, and I tell them, hey, I don't care if a bumblebee flies in your car and you get scared, you wave us down, we'll come get you. I don't care what it is. If you want out of that car at any time, I'll come get you. I promise you that. But I've got little girls that are hitting hard enough to knock their own helmet off, put their helmet back on, and go out there. They are fighting like men, like grown men, and it's like the youth class is so special to me, and I would absolutely like to help you absolutely any way I can with the youth, because that is the future, and if we don't invest in our future, we're a dying breed.
Well, that's one thing that Casey Smith has got right, man. That investing in that youth program is huge, and getting those guys into those front-wheel drive cars and then moving up to the rear-wheel drive cars that's huge, man. That's a gold mine right there, just for the future talent of the sport. Yep. That's that avenue that I was talking about that we need to have for everybody. For not just the youth, but the first-time guy, the guy that's been derbying for 10 years, and then the quote-unquote professional driver. Like there's places for you to run, and it's not at a county fair against 5 people that have never been in a derby car. Right. And you're in a tank, and they're in something that's not even built to the rules.
Yep.
So we need to. Those are those paths we need to create. And look, they've done a phenomenal job at creating those paths. It's just, I got to be disappointed that it wasn't, it's not pushed more for our event. But that's all I got to say about it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, man, it has actually been an hour and 30 minutes. I know you got family to get to. You have a smoke alarm you need to change your battery in as well. I keep hearing it chirp.
You hear that thing? I know. I couldn't find that thing last night, man. I was like, where is it?
At first I was thinking, well, he's got a bird or something, and I was like, no, it's perfect.
Yeah, man, that's hilarious when you hear that. I was hunting that thing down last night.
Yeah. Well, man, I sure do appreciate you setting time apart to come talk to a nobody in a cornfield that wanted to listen. You know what I mean? So there are good people out there.
I'm a nobody too, brother. So I'm a nobody too.
If I tell you, I might take you up. I might take you up on that format. The first person to run it. You said you'd run it. I'm going to stay in touch with you. So I wish you the absolute best of luck this year with promoting and all your endeavors and whatnot. And man, just keep up the good fight. We're going to find roadblocks everywhere we go. Sometimes you can jump over them, sometimes you got to walk around them, but we keep on keeping on, as they like to say. So
absolutely.
That is going to be it for episode 12 with one of the most interesting men in Demolition Derby, Dustin, not Dusty, Dustin Woods, Triple D Entertainment. I appreciate y'all tuning in. If you would, give us a thumbs up, share this content, go check out tripledentertainment.com.
Triple D Entertainment LLC.com.
LLC.com. Guys paying big bucks. You're not going to find that anywhere else. Until next time.